Folks, today I have to clear something up. You see, I was talking to a whore on the internet. His name's The Amazing Atheist, or TJ, and our deal didn't go too well, and now he's having a tantrum. You see, yesterday he sent me a picture, which I presumed was some sort of free sample, and I said, Lamau, send me a pic of your tits. I'll PayPal you $10 right now. I'm serious, if you include right to distribute the photo. He asked me to send the $10 first. That's not how I roll, though. Send me a nipple to prove you've got the goods. I've played EVE Online. I know all about these tricks. He says, no, money up front. I get that this is your mocking me for being a shill. Bit paranoid there, I just want a pic of tits. But at the end of the day, $10 is mine. So I say 5 before, 5 after? He says, no, $10 up front. Sorry, gotta work. Be back later. I was surprised he'd be willing to do a deal with me at all, because, you know, if he's funding you, he'll cut that funding off if you talk to me, or at least talk with me in a way he doesn't like.
I donate to a lot of people on Patreon, though. I donated to, I donate every month to Sargon of Akkad, Kraut and Tea, Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head, I used to do Teal Deer, but then he hosted that Harmful Opinions guy that I fucking hate, and I just stopped giving to him.
But I guess when the money's going to him, it's okay to associate with me. But of course the money didn't end up going to him, because I don't pay up front for pics. And if you know anything about skeptics, you know they get very upset when they think they're going to get money, and then don't. So of course he went off on one on Twitter. And a bit later, he and his buds decide to adopt a strategy from Scientology and call their critic insane. Now, what he specifically said is important. He says, talked to Harmful Opinions, he was just as batshit as I feared. Treated me like a member of some nefarious YouTube cabal come to silence him by asking him for pictures of his tits. Okay, yeah, there was more to the conversation. And I think when multiple public figures are commenting on a conversation that the public can't see and using it to call someone insane, the public should know what happened in that conversation. Especially when a popular leader of what I'd call a movement is going along with what to me is a lie about what I said, and is trying to discredit me on the basis that I have been diagnosed with autism. So here we go. Sound quality might change because I'm going to use my stream setup to read it. Because he was talking shit on Twitter, I said to him, if you want to bother me, saying stuff to or about me isn't really going to do it. There's only really one thing, and that would be messing with my mom. And that isn't something I'd recommend. Don't know or care who that is. Also, not really my style to fuck with others without others work out provocation, unlike you. Despite that pretty much being his career on YouTube. He says, I like your clumsy attempt to bait me into going after someone not involved though, you hack. I say, you're not a wild beast, are you? I can't bait you into doing anything. Just letting you know you're wasting your time. Although Bindu, CEO of Candid, did involve her in this. You're letting me know I'm wasting my time going after someone who I've never gone after. Okay. No. In doing anything else regarding me, because it won't change anything. CEO of Candid, which you endorse, told my mother she was receiving tips about her. Later find out it wasn't a bluff, and one of the people the CEO offered a reward for info to let me into his account to see. If I have the opportunity to fuck with anyone supporting this company in any way, I will. That's it. If you're just saying stuff because you want to, by all means continue. But it won't actually do anything. This is a persecution complex, and you need psychological help. Expect this narrative to repeat. Because you're acting like this harmless company is pure evil and out to get you. And this guy and his buddies are acting like this harmless guy in his bedroom is pure evil and out to get everyone. I'm just a vlogger. But of course, his crazy theory about the damage I cause will continue later. I say, no, they're ignoring me now. Doesn't change what they've already done. And he says, which is what exactly? Offering a reward for info on what I'm doing and trying to intimidate a family member of mine by letting them know tips about them are being given. Messing with the person who did this or anyone supporting them will never get old for me. It is sport. Just an FYI, not expecting it to mean anything, but just so you know the score. Well, that's not counting the attempts at legal intimidation or some other stuff, but whatever. Details aren't too important. He asks, you have proof of these claims? I share the screenshot I took from inside of the Guardian's account. And I say, and hang on. And he says, okay. And I send the tweets where Bindu was talking to my mother. And I say, The info she was given by the people looking into my mother's activity was wrong, of course, but do you genuinely not see why I'm pissed off, considering I know for a fact she had people looking into me and what I was doing? If she had the Guardian001 who let me into his account to see proof that he was working with her, who else was there? I live with my family and help care for my disabled sister, so we're all extremely close. My mom was shaken, knowing the head of a corporation with tons of cash had who the fuck knows who looking into her online. I don't let shit like that slide. It's the one kind of thing that doesn't go away from me. On a personal level, the criticism of practices and whatnot is separate. He responds, well, you were digging into them, so do you feel like they crossed the line digging back? I say, doesn't matter. Fuck with my family, I fuck with you and anyone defending and supporting you. He says, I mean, if you were launching a project and someone was relentlessly attacking it, would you not look into them? Did they threaten your family? Perhaps if I were a psychopath, I would get people to snoop on small YouTubers who diss my product. He says, you completely iced their YouTube advertising. I've got the persecution complex, right? This tiny dude in a bedroom talking about shit on the internet with a tiny audience listening. Crushed this company's YouTube advertising. So I think you underestimate your weight class. No, I didn't in the slightest, lol. They've been hammering out ads with huge YouTubers and plenty of smaller ones are telling me about offers. Today, in fact. My guy was actually helping her find advertisers after all this, before he outed himself as a mole. Blair White did an ad last month, for example. Shu and Skeptic did another one in January. Ton of political commentators, Tim Black, Next News Network, etc., have been doing them past couple weeks. If they took it away from you, they just took it away from you. He says, they're trying to work new deals with me, but you've so poisoned it that I'm reluctant to accept. I didn't mean you permanently iced it, just for a time. You did more damage than I ever could. When? I keep seeing people talking about your reactions being what turned them off. It's really funny. Like, when people ask about it, I just show you to them. This is where I got creeped the fuck out, right? Because those people don't understand the solidarity that we should share as creators. Fuck me. What you did was reprehensible, and I don't care if others perceive it differently. What? What in the bot? Are you trolling me with that shit? Not at all. Intersectional YouTubeism? Not at all. Is it something other people agree with, or is it just your thing? Because you've gone off on other YouTubers, right? What do you mean by creators? Who do you mean? Oh, you don't even get what I'm saying. It's sort of a long explanation. Turns out I did get what he was saying. But anyway, is it written anywhere? Or something with the gist of what you mean? Because it just sounds like some cult shit, as is. He explains, the most succinct way I can say it is that I felt you sabotaged the business opportunities of creators. We don't attract a lot of advertisers in the anti-SJW/skeptic communities. That's utter bollocks. I get offers. There's a website you can go to. It's a free marketplace of sponsorships and ads. It's called FameBit. Other creators with less subs who are in the same sort of sphere as him apparently get so many offers they get sick of it. So to me, as someone who makes my living doing this, you're attacking an advertiser willing to sponsor us, and basically confirming all the fears that potential sponsors have. Too fucking bad, matey. So I should have kept quiet with what I wanted to say, to protect potential sponsors/creators who would be sponsored. Is your viewpoint the norm in your community? He says, the reason I hate you is because you point blank cost me mountains of money because you had to attack some fucking obscure social network. If you just attacked them, I'd have no grievance. But you attacked their advertising campaign directly. Kind of thing I do, man. You've never watched my videos, have you? I speak for myself. I can't possibly speak for others. I've encountered agreements with my position, but I've taken no polls. But, you've discussed this with other creators. Yes. And they agree it shouldn't be done, / is unacceptable in your community. Some have, some haven't. Some take yet more nuanced positions. There is no hive mind consensus. So basically, overall, y'all are crooked as fuck. We're crooked because we want sponsorships and financial success? That's a major way how money is made on YouTube. Hell, there have been pro-Islam ads on my videos. There have been PragerU ads and Clinton ads. Through AdSense, I presume. Not through a sponsorship that involves you creating an ad yourself, making native advertising. Do you know what editorial integrity is? Do you know what ridiculously hyperbolic statements from a histrionic drama whore is? That would be a good example, TJ. If you compromise what you say to ensure sponsorships for you or others, you don't have it, basically. And everything you say is dirt. Here we go. He says, I don't censor content to make it advertiser friendly. That's why I don't have many sponsors. But Candid was willing to put ads on my channel, as it was. Let me cut away to the first time I ever talked to TJ in DMs. First time I ever talked to him, he told me he spiked a video because Candid rejected it. So he does self-censor for the sake of advertisers. But back to yesterday's chat. You complaining about hyperbole though? Come on. He says, you outdo me, sir, in the hyperbole department. Example, you saying that Candid sponsorship is indicative of a loss of editorial integrity strikes me as ludicrous hyperbole. I just demonstrated that it does for him at least. But anyway, didn't say that, did I now? Because I didn't. If I hadn't published my videos for your sake, it would be indicative of my lack. You didn't say those exact words, but if that's not what you meant, then I don't know what you meant. He posted that at the same time as me. I said, what I meant is the above. And anyone else who would do similar. You're saying people agree with your stance, right? I think that's inherently a crooked position. Okay, so you're saying it violates your principles to show consideration to others who are just trying to make a living. Some at least, others more or less so, like you said. That's me talking about agreement with his stance. When that means self-censorship, yeah. You've never given a negative review to a film or something? Never dissed ads? Because that's not showing consideration to people who are trying to make a living with those things, is it? Because take this for example. This is a video just attacking someone who tries to make a living. Ronnie Ritchie, comic artist, trying to make a living drawing comics. This guy puts out a video called Totally Insane Feminist Comic, just railing on it. Why doesn't he have to show consideration to this person just trying to make a living? But I should, when The Amazing Atheist is just trying to make a living. But we go down a weird path here. He says, of course I have. Let me give you an example of something I did recently. I say, why is that okay? Why didn't you have to show consideration to the people who made those things and their need for an income? He says, I made a video about race, and in the beginning I shouted out a few guys I know who were part of the Rick and Morty creative team, right? But I cut the shout out because I didn't want their association with my content to cause problems for them. I didn't want them put in the awkward position of defending my positions. So I was unprincipled because I self-censored to not cause problems for them? That's not analogous to what we're talking about at all. Why not? It seems an almost identical scenario to me. Not at all. We're talking about holding back criticism for the sake of your own income or other YouTubers' income. So the distinction for you is criticism. No, you didn't want to say it. The position I was in was that I had things I wanted to say. You're suggesting I shouldn't have as part of some kind of code. We'll have to continue this later. I have done other things that need attending to. Which sounds like he has other fuck-ups that he needs to fix, which sounds about right. Not because I didn't want to, based on the effect. I just end by saying, what's up with your community is still looking like what I think is up though. A mostly unspoken rule that if what you want to say will get in the way of other sponsorships, you don't say it. I mean, honestly, this Candid thing is the first and thus far only example of this ever coming up. So there's no code in place. Still gives me the creeps. Everything gives you the creeps. You look at social media apps and see Skynet. Remember, this guy doesn't engage in hyperbole. You hear about solidarity between people doing the same job. And see dogmatic codes and secret cabals of thought police. No, I see groupthink. You just love scaring the shit out of yourself. It's more that you guys are slimy. Familiar with Journalist or Game Journo Pros? No, he says. And the general solidarity of games journos. Oh well, reminds me of that. Very incestuous. You read an awful lot into very little. I find your reasoning conspiratorial and prejudicial. I'm suggesting there's no conspiracy, actually. My point is about groupthink. Right, I get the basic premise. I mean, you said yourself there should be solidarity between creators, to the point of apparently holding back criticism if it would get in the way of cash. He says no. But I thought that's what he just said. Okay. So what was wrong with what I did? I know you're saying it cost you money, but where does solidarity come in if that's it? And it's not about staying hush. As I said, criticize Candid at your leisure, but keep me and others who are just selling ad space out of it. No one is under the impression that we just all love Candid so much that we can't help but talk about it. Even if it seems obvious a video is an ad, you still have to say it is. This one, for example, no disclosure in description, no disclosure in video. Does not say he was sponsored, does not say he was paid. I don't care what community you're in or how important you think you are. I'm going to criticize your ads if you're doing this. I'm going to criticize your ad even if it's not unethical and I think it's shit. But this is an objective fuck up, for example. I'm not going to stay hush about this, especially when I got into YouTube through fucking Gamergate. I laugh, but I can't control what you do. I can only control my reaction to it. You're not selling ad space, my dude. You're engaging in influencer marketing. What should my reaction be, by the way? And I criticized you and others for how you did it. Should I not have? And why not? Solidarity? Harmful opinions just cost me a shit ton of money. I like him. He's sort of bringing it about his upset. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about your feelings. I'm asking about the solidarity bit. Solidarity means leaving the people selling ad space out of it. But my feelings are material since you criticized my reaction to you. Look, it's the last thing I care about understanding. Creators shouldn't criticize other creators for ads and shouldn't criticize their ads. Is that right? Ballpark? It's a huge oversimplification, but essentially. That's fucking vile. LOL. Because of the editorial integrity issue or some other reason. Partly, but it's more basic than that. You don't get what's wrong with that. No, I see no issues. Apparently you do, so lay it on me. Not criticizing advertising as a general rule, or at least not depending on who's doing it. Right. What's the issue? When you otherwise would, is fucked. Why would I otherwise? You're saying people shouldn't, right? Not just that you wouldn't. Otherwise there's no problem with me, from a solidarity perspective. Correct, but I don't impose my rules on others. Still, I am vocal about my opinion, and others in the Skeptic community agree with you. Some at least. I have no means of enforcing solidarity. I can only state my opinion, which you can then disagree with. There's no impetus for you to buy into it. But apparently, my opinions control what a company does with their money. Okay, dude. I'm just sharing my opinions too, and apparently you're blaming me for that costing you money. Candid don't have to do things based on my opinions. You should be upset with them if you're upset about losing money. They chose to not give you whatever money you lost. So you are free to do as you please. Thanks for the permission. It's just not what I think is right. You don't need to enforce it if it's the norm. I don't know what the norm is. Seeing as you're sort of a figurehead of your community or movement or whatever it is, I figured you'd have a feel. I can only speak for myself. Alrighty then. I'm happy to be forthcoming with what I think, but that's just what I think, nothing more. Others can agree or disagree as they wish. Well, surely it's also what whoever agreed with you thinks too, right? Perhaps to some extent. What is your preoccupation with the widespreadness of this perspective? It's exactly the sort of thing I like to cover. But if you don't know, I'll have to find out one by one. He says, I'd say you'll have to do that then. Right, that was kind of long-winded, but when people are going to make accusations about my mental health based on conversations, I think it's important to share that conversation. Particularly when I actually stated to him the opposite of what he's telling people, I think, based on that conversation. Remember, I said, I don't think there's organization, just groupthink. And when you've got one of the big faces of these communities talking about understanding the solidarity of creators and how they shouldn't say certain things about certain things, yeah, it looks to me like there's probably a groupthink problem going on, whether he thinks there is or not. And as far as insane paranoid claims go, could anyone prove that I got this company to ice their advertising on YouTube? Because to think that little old me has that power is insane. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.